The Movie Preview Critic. Informing and entertaining your movie world.
Perhaps the key challenge of movie making is finding stories that can fill the enormous, imaginative space the big screen offers. When it comes to cinematic experiences that were made to be seen on a 70-foot canvas, there's nothing better than an epic. A story that swallows our perceptions and transports us from the theater into another world. Mostly they take place in the "this is probably how it was" past, or in the "this is the would-be could be future," and in the timeless what-if world of fantasy. They're big stories with larger-than-life characters and holy visuals. Making an epic is like choreographing a major battle and leading an army. To do that, it takes a director-storyteller with vision and passion. In the past, these cinematic commanders included Cecil B. DeMille, John Huston, William Wyler, and Stanley Kubrick. More recently, it's been Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Peter Jackson, the Wachowski brothers, and Roland Emmerich. You're probably saying, who the is Roland Emmerich? He's the director of 10,000 BC, also known as the director of Independence Day and The Day After Tomorrow. Modern day epics, right? So how come he isn't a household name? Probably because while his movies have amazing boundary-pushing memorable visuals, they center on underdeveloped, bland, and ultimately forgettable characters. And if we forget about the characters, we forget about the movies, and in turn, who directed them. When you think about the Ten Commandments, you recall the parting of the Red Sea, but you also remember Charlton Heston as Moses. 2001 had the moon, spaceships, and trippy effects, but you mostly remember the red-lighted eyeball of its most interesting character, HAL 9000. Star Wars? Yeah, it had the Death Star, Millennium Falcon, and lightsabers, but they mean nothing without Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, 3PO, R2, Obi-Wan, and Darth. And yes, The Matrix had bullet time and kung fu action, but we all love Neo, Morpheus, and Agent Smith. Lord of the Rings had Mount Doom, walking, talking trees, and wizard powers, but we sat through all 12 hours of it because of Frodo, Aragorn, Gandalf, and Sam. Take a second to remember Independence Day. What comes to mind? Alien ships blowing up famous landmarks. How about The Day After Tomorrow? Tornadoes in LA and a huge wave flooding New York. What about the characters in those movies? We know the actors: Will Smith, Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum, Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid, and Toon Man. But what were their character names? And what kinds of personalities did they have? So while the director of Independence Day and The Day After Tomorrow definitely has some talent for imagining and realizing memorable cinema-worthy images, it's not enough. We need unique characters that we're interested in, not that we can just relate to. It seems like all the characters that the director of Independence Day and The Day After Tomorrow creates come from the Hollywood textbook of how to get audience sympathy. First, give them a family. Second, include a little kid. Third, throw in a dog. And of course, fourth, put the love interest in danger. But an epic needs a balance between story and character. While the story has to be big enough to generate huge jaw-dropping set pieces, the characters have to be powerful enough not to be overwhelmed, dwarfed, and washed out by those visual effects. In Independence Day, the spaceships laser blasted Will Smith and Bill Pullman out of our memories. And in The Day After Tomorrow, the superstorms buried the characters beneath the amazing visuals. And why doesn't this preview mention from the director of Stargate and the 1999 Fest reimagining of Godzilla? Both movies continue this director's pattern of creating epic stories where the effects are the star and not the characters. So if past movie behavior is the best indicator of future movie behavior, it looks like 10,000 BC is going to be more of the same. Judging by the first preview, here's the story. Okay, there's some mammoths and some hunters, and a girl, love, hate, a saber-toothed tiger, and some more words, and that's it. Alright, let's use the second preview and see if this reveals a little bit more story. Okay, this is better. There's a hunter who's best at killing mammoths so his tribe can have dinner and clothing, and there's this prophecy that says he'll be the leader if he tames a saber-toothed tiger, which he does. Then his girl gets kidnapped, and he has to go find her. So he leads his people to Egypt where the pyramids are being built with the help of mammoths, and they have a battle and probably win. Uh-oh, that's the warning sign alarm. That only happens when a preview sets off more than 3 warning signs. Warning sign number 1, the preview reveals little to no story. Number 2, the preview reveals little to nothing about the characters. Number 3, the preview only focuses on genre. Number 7, the preview whores out from the director of. Number 24, it promotes itself as the greatest thing since Viagra. And number 26, there's no mention of the actors' names. Now, it's definitely the first major would-be blockbuster mega special effects movie that tells a story set in or around 10,000 BC, but it's not totally mind-blowingly original. First, it definitely has a lot of apocalypto in it. A warrior from a tribe travels to a far-off land where there's a pyramid and another civilization, and he has to escape to save his wife and child. Then, it also has a lot of Jurassic Park in it, with the CGI creating of extinct animals. Toss in a little bit of Stargate with the scenes in the desert, pyramids, and a load of extras, and voila, that's this movie. Also, the idea for this movie seems to have been hinted at in The Day After Tomorrow.
Nothing like this has ever happened before.
At least not in the last 10,000 years.
This mammoth was found perfectly preserved in the Siberian tundra, with food still in its mouth and stomach, indicating that it froze instantly while grazing.
With an audience that's seen Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3, Lord of the Rings 1, 2, and 3, Chronicles of Narnia, The Golden Compass, Ice Age, and The Flintstones, it's going to take more than some great-looking but not-so-revolutionary CGI animals to impress us. And even though the story is set 12,000 years ago, the characters speak English. If there's anything that the success of Apocalypto proved, it's that audiences know how to read. So making the characters speak in a foreign primitive language would have been okay. But then again, this is designed to be a blockbuster, which means it's being aimed at a younger audience, which sets off warning sign number 50. The movie acts like we ain't have smart brain think. Humanity has advanced astronomically in the last 12,000 years, but like our caveman ancestors, when it's time to experience a story, we still gather in a dark cave to surround a flickering light and let the shadows of illusion dance on the walls of our minds. And there's nothing we like better than epic storytelling to do that, which is ultimately not about how special effects transport us to a new world, but how the characters in those stories transform our inner world, which in the end is the most epic adventure of them all. The movie preview critic rates 10,000 BC, unworthy of big screen viewing. Watch it for free, edited for TV in the background while you do something more productive with your life. It's the same old the story's predictable and cliche, it has forgettable characters, and even though it's made for action lovers, epic lovers, and special effect lovers, seeing a mammoth, saber-toothed tiger, and building of the pyramids isn't that impressive after what all audiences have seen on the big screen in the past 15 years. Now, if you've had your movie heart set on seeing it, and this review isn't going to change your mind, then at least save a little money and pay the $6 to $7 matinee price, especially since renting a movie costs like $4 or $5, and you won't get the same effect on your TV even if you have a 50-inch plasma flat screen with a pimped out sound system. So if you really feel you have to see this, spend the extra $3 and optimize your experience in a theater with stadium seating. And when you can't stand the characters, dialogue, and effects any longer, take advantage of the darkened theater and loud soundtrack to provide cover as you use the popcorn trick. Finally, let's find 10,000 BC's place in movie history. It's most similar to Clan of the Cave Bear, Quest for Fire, and Apocalypto because it deals with a primitive civilization fighting to survive. But those movies focused on the characters more than the effects. In that category, the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park are still better than the mammoths here. And it should be better than 1 million years BC, both Flintstone movies, and just a little bit better than the special effects of Stargate. Not the story or characters of Stargate, just the 14-year-old special effects. So there it is, 10,000 BC's place in movie history. Until next time, consider yourselves advised, and as always,
long live good movies.